right.
Lead it up.
Dang, it's been a while. Okay. Well,
we missed you guys.
I know. It's welcome back.
Welcome back. You look good.
I do.
You losing some weight?
I don't know. Maybe that or just like the coffee I drank or
getting us slimmer shirts or just the gun.
I said a good prayer today.
Oh wow! Wait, what's the PSI on those? Inflate to 52?
No, they're 20s. They're 20s
he keeps them clean though.
20s. All right, so
welcome back.
It's been a while since we did an episode together, and a lot of growth. I want to say I just want to like really just give us our flowers as far as not only partnership wise, business wise, and things that we've really gone through together, not only in this business, but other business ventures that we have together as well too. And and then shout out to the other business partner too, Mr. Kevin Farms. So I got to shout out too.
There you go. A lot of good things. A lot of great things.
We've been in the trenches together, and we've been battling, and we've been winning. So
and by the way, I even caught some shade from someone recently where they even asked. As we got reached out, that is level 111 still doing anything? Because I haven't seen you guys posting anything. And by the way, you might not see me post that I went to the restroom, but you can be damn sure I went. So you can be damn sure I showed up every single day to put in work, to go to the gym, to put in work in my business and my family. And just because I don't post about it and have to do an emoji about it, guess what? It didn't mean that it don't happen.
That's the biggest thing. Like I haven't posted all month as well too, just because we've been busy. And this is social media and all this other stuff. That's like secondary to who we are. We don't get on there and become something. We are something in life, and then we get to showcase some of the things that we like to show to the world.
Well, and this isn't fake, by the way. Yeah. So who we are, who we show up to every day. Yes, we love getting this time to to talk. We like to talk, and there's a lot of wisdom, and there's a lot of life, and there's a lot of experience that we've had.
Yep.
But this just isn't fake show. Like this isn't all show no go. This is a life that we live, that we set out to do and achieve something each and every single day. And so I think for us being able to share that with people, share that and inspire others, that's kind of like the icing on the cake. We love that. We enjoy that. That kind of gives us that little extra oomph. But at the end of the day, we're still businessmen, we're still family men, and we've got jobs to do. So whether we post or talk about it, doesn't mean it's not happening. It just means that we just ain't recording it.
Exactly. And
that's what
I think kind of just segue into the topic that we'll be going to talking about today too. I think a lot of times when people see that you're quiet, they think that you're losing. And it's not. I've learned to just, if that's what they think, just be quiet. Just play your position, keep going. Because the reality is that so many people, they will take that and say, oh man, they'll take that and run with it. They'll be like, oh yeah, Joffrey's down. He's losing right now. He's quiet. He's not shouting. He's not posting. He's not doing all this stuff, whatever. But meanwhile, you're just kind of like, Because sometimes my level of loss is not what you think it is.
and remember this. A lot of times people, when they don't know the story, they're going to make up a story.
Exactly.
And many times people think they can make up a better story about my life than even I or that you can. So once again, going back to what kind of triggered all this is I ran into someone that I hadn't seen in a while, and it was really interesting. It was a person that knew me very well, that I'd worked with for many, many years. Yeah. And if they listen to this, they'll get enough gist of it to know who I'm talking about. Because by the way, I'm about that life, so I don't run from the smoke. So shots fired. So had this conversation, and a lot of times there's people that knew you from a prior point in life, and they're still going to try to put you in that box that you were in 5 years ago, 10 years ago, and not even recognize how you've grown, who you changed into. And I'm not that same man when I was 25. I'm glad I'm not that same man. So don't try to put me in that box. Don't try to put your negative beliefs, your systems on me just because you're feeling a sort of way and you haven't accomplished what you want in life.
Yeah, I think that comes in different packages and different people along your journey too. Mm-hmm. I mean, I look from my own experience, like when I was a teenager, I was literally the black sheep of the family. Like I was messing up in all kinds of areas. And the thing about it is when I finally decided
I thought you were a choir boy.
Yeah, right? So when I finally decided to
he just went for the girls. He just went for the girls. That's what it was.
I don't know. I didn't have as much swagger as I do now,
Okay.
so I had to grow into
Sorry,
this.
I apologize.
It's all good. But when I finally decided to take accountability for my own life, that's when I decided to like put in the work. A lot of times when you put in the work, don't expect people to all of a sudden see that, oh, you've taken a 360 or 180 turn, and now all of a sudden you're a great person when just yesterday you were doing what you were doing. You know, it takes time. You have to regain their trust. You have to change their perspective, and they have to accept the different change in you as well too. You can't just shove something down somebody's throat and say, "Hey, I'm a new person. I'm a new person." No, you got to be able to give them time to accept who you are. And a lot of times, you get to this point where you just say, you know what? I don't care what you think. I'm changing and I'm putting in the work. I know that I'm putting in the work, but don't fool yourself as well and think that you're putting in the work just because you're saying you're putting in the work. Actually put in the work and then step back and see the fruits of your labor, because that is where you'll be able to really measure yourself and your actual growth. So many people are just talking, yeah, I'm changing, or I'm healing, or I'm learning, but yet what have you learned? What have you healed from? How far have you gone from who you are to who you want to be? And then where are the fruits of your labor where somebody can actually step back and say, wow, you've actually changed. It's almost like when you're working out, right? I think it takes about 90 days for you to completely change your body inside and outside. And so you need time for that transition to happen.
Yeah, and that's a good point. You know, when you're working on something, it's like, okay, you're hitting the gym every day. Do I need to walk up to you and say, okay, pinch my fat, you know, here, feel my arm? Like, you don't need to have that reassurance. And I think like what you're saying is, you know, the fruit, the fruit's for you, right? Like you enjoy that fruit, you enjoy the benefits of it. That's not meant for everyone. That's not meant for every person out there. And going back to this encounter, what I find is people will be happy for you to a point until they find that point is greater than what they wanted for themselves.
Exactly.
And I gotta say that once again, a little bit louder for those in the back. People will be happy for you to a point until it exceeds what they wanted that for themselves. And so my fruit isn't for everybody. There's a circle that I run with, and my circle will get fed. My circle will get taken care of. And those that are outside of it, for whatever reason, that fruit ain't for you. But a lot of times you like to think, oh, everyone's gonna cheer your success. There's a lot of people that are liking these posts right now, but they're not liking it in their heart. And I think once you and I and anyone listening to this gets to a point where you're comfortable in your own skin, you're comfortable in your own journey, and you're comfortable in your fruit that you're working towards producing, that's good enough.
Exactly. And I think you have to get to the point where it's this. People want to know you, but a lot of times the you that they knew, that's in their comfort level. So of course they're going to say like, oh, Rasheed, you were the bad one. You were this, you were that. Because I know you. No, you knew the old me. And a lot of times when you get to the point where you know you've put in that work and you have bared that fruit, then the fear comes in and is like, oh snap, I don't actually know this person anymore. So now you're colliding between comfort and actual fear. And I don't know if you when you played sports, right? And there's a scoreboard, right? When you're in the middle of the game, you can't keep looking up at the scoreboard.
Yeah.
You got to focus on the game at hand, right?
Yeah.
And then like Jay-Z said, check the scoreboard. At the end, when everything is all said and done, when you know you have put in the work, then let them check the scoreboard and you check the scoreboard. And when those two things align, then guess what? You are who you are and you built this.
So let me ask you this. So was there a point in your life when you recognized and you could really say to yourself, and you looked yourself in that mirror and you said, Rasheed, I can see the growth. I know I'm a changed man. I'm not perfect. You know, I would say, you know, between now and dead, what do you still have to do in life? But when you could actually say and look yourself in the mirror and said, I'm changed and I've grown.
I think it's a state of awareness. Because you get to a point where you first have to ask yourself that question. Like, okay, things aren't going the right way in my life. I've been operating from this mindset and this framework, and now this framework isn't working for me. And so at that point, okay, my framework isn't working for me. It's not bearing the fruits that I like. Then it's time to change my framework. But in doing that, what comes with that is the question, who must I become in order for this person to respect me? Who must I become in order to have this in my life? who must I become to attract these type of people in my life? So many people never actually sit down and ask themselves these specific questions to have that conversation, because you'll be real honest with yourself in the darkness of like, I'm not doing what I'm supposed to do. I'm not operating the way that I'm supposed to operate, because if I really measure up of who must I become, that at the same time you have to ask yourself, who am I now?
Yeah. And let me ask you one question to that. So when you come across these people, and you can call them haters, you can call them people that are negative in your life, do you welcome them? Do you just reject it? Do you engage? Or how do you personally go about handling that?
Oh man, at this point in my life, I have like a self like vetting. Like I give off this energy, and people have told me I give off this energy where, if you're not for me, then you're not going to be able to communicate with me. You're not going to be able to vibe with me, because I'm going to put off the energy like, hey, I'm about this business. I'm about who I am, and I will protect my purpose at all costs. And if you disrupt my peace or whatever, then we have a problem with that. But how do I do that myself? Well, it starts with my mindset. I do have an abundance mindset. But at the same time, my abundance mindset, it doesn't have a big door for entry. It has a small filter. And that filter, it allows me to say to these individuals, okay, I like hanging out with you, you're cool, whatever, but I'm not gonna invest too much time in you, right? You're a great person, but I'm not gonna do business with you. So I'm going to only specialize in a friendship with you, not necessarily, hey, let's engage, let's do other things too, whatever. Because it's very rare to find someone that you actually enjoy hanging out with, that you can actually do business with. Because at that point, when you're doing business, that's full transparency. I think even we were in a room recently where we were talking about money and everything else too, and you had said, well, let's think about this. And I said, no, let's have this conversation right now. Because if we're going to do business together, there shouldn't be any conversations behind someone's back about money. Like, let's be very clear and transparent and intentional about what we're talking about.
Yeah. And I think another kind of key component to that too is, and I don't want to call them haters, and I'll just say this, I think just sometimes there's people that are just energy drains or don't have anything value added. So if in these conversations where you're finding that they don't even know how to act, they don't even know how to be supportive, I can love you from a distance, I can be kind to you, but I don't have to engage. And then, because here's the other part, for as you grow, there's different people that will be able to walk with you. And I know we've heard this said about like base camp, right? So when you start off in life, there's, your community, there's this base camp. Well, hopefully as you grow and you go up higher up the mountain, not everyone is meant to walk up that mountain. If you notice, the mountain isn't larger at the top, it's largest at the bottom where it's more crowded. So the higher you go, naturally, less and less people are able to fit and walk with you. And the higher up you continue to go, you're going to find there's even less people that can survive in that environment, that can even make the climb. They're going to be willing to make that climb. And those people that made that climb with you, they're going to understand more than anything what it's taken to get to that point. So like when you tell me about your day, you don't have to go through the details of it. I get it. I've been there. So when I talk to our business partner, Kevin, he's got a family, he's got kids in college. He doesn't even have to tell, we just have to look at each other and it's understood. I got you. Versus you talk to someone and they always say, you talk to, no offense to some 22-year-old out there, but you're like, oh my God, I got my dog I got to take care of. And, I have my Honda Civic payment to make. I get it. There's a stress with that. But if you haven't had life experiences, there's things that you haven't had as part of going up that journey. I'm not saying life is easy for everyone, but the further you go in life, there is more miles to be done. There is more experiences. There's more pitfalls. There's more opportunities for you to fall off of that mountain. So the higher up you go, the people that have made that journey with you, they're going to understand it. And I think that's where that understanding is. Not everyone is going to understand what you're going through. And so that's why that circle, like you said, there's very few people that can actually fit through that filter, because some people just aren't going to get it.
Exactly. And I think it kind of goes to this African saying, it's where were you when we were we? It's the aspect of like what you know you learned, but what we know we experience. And it's a different level of that. And a lot of times people that no longer engage with you on a daily basis, they're going to go based off of what they think they know not what you're walking through every single day.
Yeah. Do you not actually say that in the native language?
No,
definitely not. Okay, Jay, find that. Put that in the comments. I want the literal translation of it. That's poetic.
I think sometimes they just say it in English too. So
Okay,
we're just gonna mix it in there.
That's poetic. Where were you when we were we?
So let's end it here. Why do you think? Just I guess because I like to learn from like different perspectives, right? And different understandings too, because not everyone that holds you to who you were is an evil person. So why do you feel is that people hold on, and what are some ways that you can help them like let go of that old perspective of you?
That's a great question. I think a lot of times, two things. I think people, and most of us, don't realize that we live in a state of comfort. So it's very, from the time we're babies, it's like you're crying for mom, you're crying for food, you're crying for this. And so many times the simple thing to do is go to a place of comfort, go to a place of familiarity. I knew that I had control over Rasheed in this position, so I'm going to keep him here in this box. I had control over my brother or my sister, or I had control over this situation. And anything outside of that, I don't feel comfortable because I don't feel like I have control over that situation. Now, like you said before, you mentioned the living from abundance. Well, the opposite of that is living from scarcity. A scarcity mindset is where I lose control, therefore I am not in control of this situation. And so a lot of times for us as we go through life, there's going to be new people, new opportunities where you're in a new environment.
Yeah.
And it gets scary. But that's also called growth. We've heard this so many times before, and it's so true. If your goals and your dreams aren't scaring you, then they're not big enough because you're sticking to what you already knew. Well, just do what you did yesterday. And guess what? Your life will look the same tomorrow. But for most people listening to this, then if you made it this far in this podcast, it's because you want your tomorrow to look greater than it was today.
Yep.
And so I think with that bit of advice is just, that's to avoid comfort. All things that are easy aren't going to produce what you want from life. It takes effort to have a good marriage. It takes effort to have a good body. It takes effort to have a healthy bank account. It takes effort to grow your mind, right? All these things take effort and time. And my advice for those, surround yourself by positive people. And by the way, if you're some of these relationships, I've had to disengage because I got no place and time and space for this, right? I've got too many things that I'm moving towards to let your negative belief system really fill any space in my gas tank, right?
Yep.
It's not going to take me where I need to go. And my advice though is don't be as full of yourself as you think you are. And I think we all have something to learn. We all have space and area to grow. But the problem is when we think that we're already full, and then when we become full of ourselves, we've got no room to let anything else fill us.
And I think, just to kind of end it right there too, we can't be naive. I think we all need to. It's one thing to say that you have value. I 100% like know your worth, know your value, right? But don't get it twisted. The farther you go up in life and the more you want out of life, the market will dictate your value. And just so that God can help you, you better make sure that your vision of your value and the marketplace vision of value of you is aligned.
Yeah, I'm gonna end on this quote. We're all just tiny bolts in a big machine full of nuts. So
that's it. See you guys real soon.
See you soon. Love you guys.